Connected. Ah, Marilyn, thank you for telling us there was no sound. So we just had like this whole conversation and nobody knows the words. Oh my goodness. We're already off on a day today.
It's fine. I was up at 1 a.m. because of pain. So.
Who else was up at 1 a.m. because of your pain?
I didn't want to wake you up. But I sat there for an hour debating whether or not to wake you up.
Oh, dude, you should never wait that long. Ding-a-ling.
I didn't want to wake you up. I went to your bedroom and I felt bad, so I went and sat in the living room.
So Kate went swimming last night, and it turns out that unbeknownst to us, there is a hole in her eardrum. And you can imagine how well swimming with a hole in an eardrum works. It didn't work so well at all. So, so yeah, we had a night last night. We were only up for like, what, an hour or so?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's like
okay.
An hour of sleep.
So what we were talking about before we had no sound, or before when we had no sound, we were talking about how Kiari is not here today, so we're thinking things might actually flow a little bit better. And then, so hopefully we can hear sound now. Okay, good. Yeah, it looks like we've got sound now. That's good.
She said
yeah, but now that, look, she changed. So yeah. So anyway, we were talking a little bit about how Tuesday's show was really slow, like painfully slow. Believe me, it was painfully slow for me, and I was sitting here, and that is kind of why I ended it when I did anyway.
But you know one thing, if it's slower, the person can actually do the process with us. They could make
that is true. They could. And well, and I think that Tuesday's class, if that's what we're calling this, with you was a very important one. You know, we talked about a lot of design considerations. We talked about some design ideas and different ways to lay things out. So, you know, and based off of that, now we have the design that we're at.
And the design process is like a very important one in making your jewelry, because most of the time you're not going to just jump in with that plan.
Right.
You're going to start with some sort of plan, even if it's not like a very good one.
Right. Well, I mean, and you know, and I got complaints, like people complained to me about how slow it was and how it was.
We know, we felt like, it too.
You know, but the thing is, and this is what I was telling Kate, is that, you know, I have some 300 odd videos out here on YouTube, and the way that I typically do them is they are recorded and then I edit them. So I edit out all the slowness. A lot of times I'll speed the process up so that you can see it and you don't have to watch it in real time, because I think a lot of times you don't realize how long something takes. And so when we get into a live setting, it's live. I mean, it goes as slow or as fast as it actually goes. And so I think a lot of people are just used to my boom, 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 boom videos. And so it's really hard when we get into the live videos where then it goes a little bit slower.
You can't edit out mistakes.
You cannot edit out mistakes, yeah.
But it proves the point. Everyone makes mistakes, even the famous Melissa Muir.
Yeah. and it also shows that we're human, right? And not only that, but it shows what real issues you come up with or run into as you are working through this and going through the process.
So one of my favorite pieces she made is a broken flower.
Oh, dude, that one got chucked across the room. I think it might have actually even got stomped on. I don't know. I don't think it got stomped on, but it got.
It works for stop motion.
It got chucked across the room.
It doesn't work. It's supposed to be a spinny flower, and it doesn't work, so she didn't like it. But it's my favorite piece because it shows that everyone makes mistakes.
You're so funny.
It's a good piece.
Well, it is a good piece. It was definitely a good learning experience. It was just a frustrating one. And that's okay too, you know, because you've got to have the frustrating ones. So one of the things, so I know we're early today, and like I was saying, when we had no sound, what we figured we would do is we would do a pre-show, because we were just sitting here waiting for time to pass, and
it's still not supposed to start yet. But.
No, not yet. So we figured we would do the pre-show. So welcome to the pre-show.
Welcome to the 8 of you that are here. Also, I shouted out the people who were here last time, and then I shouted out the people who are here now.
Yes. So we do appreciate you, those of you guys who come and sit through our painfully slow live videos. We appreciate
Where's
that.
Lindsay? She should be showing up.
I know, right? I told her I was gonna make her moderator.
Come on, baby dragon. If you show up, you're gonna be like the biggest shout out.
There you go. Okay, so one of the things that Kate and I were just looking at was the pendant, and we're not going to talk about that yet. We got to wait till 2 o'clock because that's when we told people we would be here. So we'll wait. But one of the things we were talking about are some of the elements that she has that she's going to be riveting onto her piece are actually pewter. And I kind of wanted to show her what happens with pewter if you heat it up. Yeah, so we have a little flower, you know, a cupped flower. Yeah, so we have that flower. No, that's okay. Yeah, my camera sometimes has a hard time focusing on other things when they get close.
See it very well.
They'll see it. They'll definitely see it here pretty quick. So anyway, what I want to show you guys is what happens when you heat up pewter. That camera is not on.
Do we want it on?
No, not right now. Okay. So let's take this over here.
Can I do it?
And yeah, do you want to do it?
Yeah, you gotta do it.
Okay, where's your glasses? Oh, you've got glasses on.
Where are my glasses?
Well, I meant safety glasses. My safety glasses are on my head. Okay, so get the torch going, and in this case we're trying out this new torch from Durston. So I just got this last week. If you guys remember, I opened up the boxes and this was in there. So this torch is actually pretty cool. You have a lock on here, so you cannot ignite it if you have that lock on, but if you want to ignite it, then you're going to have to move that lock up. In order to turn on your fuel, you just twist here and then you can ignite here. To turn it off, there we go, into the camera, then you just twist your knob and turn off the gas flow. All right, you got that?
Okay.
Okay, so come into it. Yeah, no, well, we definitely, yeah, we don't want it locked, okay? Oh, so put it back up, yeah. Okay, now turn on your gas flow. There you go. And then you don't have to hold the trigger down. Yep, there you go. So yeah, go ahead and give that some fuel. Now, one of the things that's interesting here, so this is pewter, okay? You'll see that it kind of bubbles up, look at that. Kind of leaches out, it does a few weird things, but for the most part, it kind of keeps its form. Hold on, let's zoom in just a bit. Where's my remote?
It's behind the...
Oh, well, if you put it...
No, it's right there.
Oh. Okay, so but see how it's like, it's kind of...
Oh, it's on fire.
Yeah, okay, so it kind of keeps its form a little bit.
It's on fire.
Okay, but look, see how it stays kind of molten? You see that? Mm-hmm. So this has, yeah, this has more than just pewter in this, okay? But pewter...
It looks like liquid metal.
It is liquid metal.
No, like, never mind. Do you not know what I'm talking about? Like the one where if you put it into your hand, it turns into a liquid?
Well, that's just because it has like a super low melting point.
Yeah, it does.
But see how this still kind of has a little bit of shape and form to it? So like silver, you know, silver is going to totally melt into a ball and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is still warm, which is why we're able to, you know, get into this where it's molten a little bit. Now, one thing that we want to...
on fire, I'd be a little scared of it when it's still warm.
Right. So one of the things you want to be careful of, and I'm going to actually have to take this board out and resurface it because now I have pewter embedded in my board.
You can melt it.
Kind of, but you never want to contaminate your metals, right? So see how it's now here on my pick? Mm-hmm. Okay, so this actually has to be filed off of this because if this pewter gets into my silver, it contaminates the silver and it will actually burn a hole into the silver because the melting temperature of the pewter is so much lower than the silver. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? So, you know, here, now it's like on here.
I could go get it with the big thing over there.
The big thing? What? My polishing arbor?
Yeah.
No, you actually can't. Okay, and now that this is cooled, it's completely rock hard. Well, metal hard. How's that? Right?
Let's put it in the rocks.
Hot. There we go. We got most of that out.
We put it in the rocks.
Yeah, no, don't put that in the rocks because again, we don't really want this around our silver. So see how there's still a little bit of pewter right here in the board? Okay, that is an issue because that is a contamination spot.
Can we flip it over?
Yeah, we can. And then we just have to make sure that we take that out and resurface it. Those 3 things, I'm gonna go ahead and just throw away. Well, if I should put them here on the camera for you. But yeah, so I'm just gonna throw those 3 items away. So, I know, I'm sorry. So yeah, we're gonna just flip this over for right now. And then I still have to get this off.
Except for some yellow.
Yeah, so on this, I would actually take my pick now and I'm gonna rub it on sandpaper or a file. For right now, I'm just gonna set it to the side. I have some others. Yeah, that's what I said, sandpaper or a file. A file will work better.
Sandpaper.
All right, come on. So anyway, I'm just gonna switch to a clean pick. We've got the clean side of our solder board at this point that we're going to work with.
I gave you the sandpaper and everything.
Thanks. I know, but sandpaper, well, maybe I'll let you do it because sandpaper will take forever to get that off.
Better than bites.
No.
Yes, it is.
No. Come on, you're halfway deaf now, so all you have to do is just plug your ear. You said so yourself. All right, so Kate, let's take your piece that you've been working on then, and with our new decided layout that we're going to do, because I want to show a couple of things.
Do we want to flow this first and then those?
What?
This.
Those 2? Actually, I want to talk a little bit about this. So let's put this up here on the board. Go ahead and switch our camera, please.
Back again.
Yes, back again. Okay, so Kate has decided we're gonna make, we were just looking at it and we're like, well, it looks kind of like an 8 or a snowman. Like a Mrs. Snowman by the time we get everything laid out. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use 2 of these. Glenda, welcome. So glad you made it, and Tom made it as well. And we have, we've got Joanne and we've got Marilyn, and I do not know how to say his name. It's like Predrag, Predrag.
Nice.
So I don't know how to spell your name, sorry, or spell your name. I know how to spell your name. I don't know how to say your name. Okay, so when you have these, you have these much closer together.
I'm trying to just get them on there out of my hands.
Okay, and I've noticed that you paid attention to the fact, well, you're gonna have to move these again anyway, but we're just gonna lay it out for now because we flux, right?
Yeah.
So I noticed that you took care to make certain that each of your tube settings were face up. So that's a good thing. Face up meaning that there is a seat cut into each of these tube settings, and you need those to be face up. Now tell me why you're spacing them apart like you are.
So that they, like, I can still set the stone.
Yes, so that you can still set your stones. Okay, so if it's not even, what can we do to make certain that we get it even?
I'm done.
No, you're not. So what can we do to make sure that we get this even? What would be dots? Okay, yep, you could lay it out with a dot, right? You could use kind of like a circle template and kind of mark your cross points and then go from there. Do you want to do that?
Can.
Okay. So then what we need to do, go ahead and pull those off, and let me grab one of our circle templates really fast. And then what you do with the circle template, because they're marked, let me see if I can find one that's the right size, because that is not the right size. Here we go. Oh man, one of my templates just broke. Rotten thing. Yes, okay, so here, let's move. Let me move, you hold this. All right, and let me move this out of our way for a second. Okay, put it up here so people aren't just looking at nothing. Ding-a-ling. Ah! I'm totally gonna drop this whole thing.
Do you want me?
No, you're okay. All right, so what we need to do is dropped one of our narwhals.
Drop the kiwi.
Oh, kiwi, that's what it was, a kiwi, huh?
Yeah. Ocean unicorn and unicorn. That was our mascot.
There you go. Right, something like that. So what I have here on this little grid.
Say hi to Suzanne.
Hi, Suzanne from Indiana. I'm going to be over in that kind of area. I'm going to Kansas this week.
Indiana.
What?
Indiana Jones.
There you go. Okay, so we're going to take, see how there's kind of,
marks?
yep, there's the lines here, right?
Okay, great.
Well, no, what I was going to do is you just kind of hold this and you mark where each of the marks are, right?
Okay. I was gonna try to make sure it was straight.
Well, if the marks are right on this template, then they will be. Okay, so now we have our marks. Okay, now you have 5 settings that you're going to place on here.
Yeah.
And welcome, Anna from Michigan. So you have 4 marks on here, right? So we know that we could put the center one here, we could put the 2 outer ones here, and then you just center in between this. Don't fall asleep on me. Then you center in between this. If you fall asleep, I have no hope for our audience whatsoever. But anyway, then you can just center in between those, right?
Hopefully they at least got sleep.
Right? Oh my goodness, sleep is something that we are lacking severely in this house, for sure. Okay, so let's bring this back up here. Oh, look, we did it on that one and not this one. So what I want you to do then, I want you to come up here and I want you to mark it. Nope, do it with this. So what you do is you just take this and you lay it on here and you find whichever one fits. Okay? What happened to the marker?
Could you...
Oh, look, here it is. All right, there you go.
Is that one dead?
Nope, that's a new one. So go ahead and I want you to mark your 4 spots on that.
Touch you to make sure it's straight.
That works too.
Maybe.
All right, yeah. So we just want to mark all 4 of those. And even if you wanted to, which I don't think we need to, but if you wanted to, then you could mark kind of your layout part of this. Now, one of the things that Kate did when we ended the video is she finished kind of putting a better finish. We didn't take it to a high polish, but she did put a better finish. What's that?
See, it's a little bit straighter.
Okay. All right, so it's a little bit straighter. Good job. Okay, so she put a little better finish on these. Now, Kate, you are going to solder these 2 elements together, right? You've got the 2 rings that we're going to put together. When you have 2 circles like this, you don't actually have very much connection point. So if we solder this, while it will solder, it's not going to be as strong of a join.
So you want to do it on the front and on the back?
No, it's the front and the back have nothing to do with it. What it has to do with is the fact that there's only a tiny connection point right here.
So we could like cut it down a little bit.
And how do we cut it down?
Have fun, back.
And Kate ran away. So how do we cut this down? Come back.
I don't want to cut it.
Why not? Come here. So what we do to cut this down, and let me get this other camera up and running. Okay, you grab me a file, please.
Okay, you give me the other one?
I might do it for you. It depends on how nice you are to me. I gotta get this other camera in position though. Because we got one camera that's not even up and running yet.
Got me a wire down here.
What? You tripping on my wire?
No, there's an ear wire.
Oh, that's not an ear wire, that's like a hook. Okay, so let's get this camera set up.
Mom, the problem with me only having to plug one here is you still need 2 hands to file.
Okay. All right, so this camera is not the best position, but it works.
One of these?
No. Here, there's one right here. Okay. So let me move over to this camera here. So what we want to do on this is we want to create a flat spot. So if I bring it into, yep, plug your ear. And I want to bring it onto my bench pin, or however I'm going to do it, whether I'm holding it kind of like this, and then we just come this way. That works well. And then we just file. Ooh, that one got me. This Kate's favorite sound in the studio. She loves it the best. She's like, Mom, will you please go down and file for me? And she's like, make sure I'm nice and close so I can hear that beautiful sound.
You can file for me. I'll go all the way to like New York.
Okay. So now we just have a small flat facet on this. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this guy.
Go away now.
Oh, come on. It's not that bad. Oh, darn it. Okay. And now, when I put these two together, we actually have a really good connection point. And I didn't do it so much that we lose our shape at all, right? It's still totally rounded. Welcome, Judy. Good morning. So it's not too rounded or anything, but now we have a good connection point rather than just a tiny little one. Does that make sense? Okay, and even when you bring these together, like, you don't even notice that there's a flat spot.
And there will be a flower there.
And we'll put a flower there. Yes. Well, no, we're not going to have a flower right there.
Yeah, we will.
Didn't you want it off to the side?
Off to the side a little bit, but it's almost covers the middle.
Okay, yeah, it does kind of hang over it just a little bit. All right, so pull us back over to the soldering one.
Wait, this one.
Yeah, there you go. Bloop, bloop. All right, so let's see. There we go. Find our spot.
So much fading that it faded to us.
There you go. All right, so what do you need to do next?
We take this off.
What's that?
We take this off.
Take what off? Oh, yeah. Well, here, you can just do this. There. So now, all right, fine.
It's fine.
I'll just move the whole thing. There. Okay, so now what you need to do is what? Hang on, I'm going to brighten up this camera just a little bit.
Well, that got really.
Oh, I know it does. I have to adjust it. That's a little bit better. Okay, so now they can see it a little bit better. All right, flux. So here's your flux. Here's your brush.
Or as Kiara used to call it, flex.
Flex. What is flex? Remember when we were doing that video?
Yeah.
What is flex? Okay, so here's your flux. Go ahead and get it all fluxed up, and especially that join there in between. No, you're gonna have to actually pick it up a little bit because you need to get that join in between them. And remind me what flux is.
I like making it.
Don't lose our facet because we do not. You can have a hard time finding your spot again if you've got it fluxed.
There?
I don't know. Is that where it was?
It looks like it.
Okay, we'll get this ring fluxed up because that's the one you're going to be soldering items onto, right?
Yeah.
I think you need a little bit more. And go into that wet spot that I created.
I was gonna go in like the dry spot.
Yeah, I know. That's why I told you to go in the wet spot. Okay. You don't have to be so careful painting it on. Okay, so it's not lined up. Nope. It's actually like right there, I think. I don't know, we might have to dry the flux a bit. Go ahead and get it on. So you're putting on a super light coat, which can be okay, but this is copper, and copper oxidizes really quickly, right? So what we want to do here,
That'd be a cool thing to do, like where one piece of copper is oxidized and then one's not. Like do a piece like that, or like earrings or something. That'd be a cool.
and I've done that before, you end up basically, and matter of fact, you can do the same type of thing when you patina a piece and then you put it together with another piece that doesn't have a patina. Okay, so what should we do next? Actually, I guess we need to leave this open. What do we need to do next?
The solder.
Okay, now do you want to try to solder on all of your tube settings at the same time as you solder these two elements together?
Maybe because it's two different points we could.
Okay, you could totally do that. So if you do, here's your flux all your little pieces.
That bigger piece, but where?
And I would not put them into position quite yet.
Tweezers.
Here's your tweezers. Do it here on the camera, please. All right, so you do not want to, don't put them into place yet. Why?
You're gonna move.
When we do what?
Solder.
When we dry the flux. So what we want to do is to dry the flux a little bit, right? Okay, you need to do this on camera because you're like off the camera when you're doing it.
Sorry.
I know, it's hard, huh? Not only are you trying to pay attention and concentrate on what you're doing, but then you have an extra step where you try to keep it all on camera. So.
The life of a YouTuber. Oh no!
So I have borax powder as well, and we do I'll mix borax with denatured alcohol and create what is called a barrier flux, or you can take that boric acid and mix it with water and it becomes flux. Did you know that? And what's the barrier flux? What's the difference between a barrier flux and a flow flux?
The barrier, you just put on like base coat type thing?
What's that?
You kind of just do like base coat type thing?
Yeah, it's a base coat and it helps to keep the oxidation from, and as a matter of fact, it helps prevent fire scale. Do you remember what fire scale is?
Not off the top of my head.
So remember when we talked about how sometimes it might look like metal might have a bruise underneath the surface? Mm-hmm. That's fire scale or fire stain. And it's the copper oxides just below the surface. And really the only way you can get rid of that is to sand it off. So, okay, good. Now what do you need to do? No, you actually need to close that flux. Don't you dare leave that flux open. Get the paintbrush out of there, dingbat. So let me show you what she did. She did this.
Because I don't know.
No, you see how dry my flux is already?
So that.
No, you always, it's my flux's fault because we haven't used it. So to rehydrate it, I just add water. Can you use borax that you get from the store? Tom, yes, you would want to make sure that it's the actual borax. So it would be kind of the roach killer that you would get. And if you look at it, so if you go over, it's stuck. If you go over to like Home Depot or something like that in the pest control area, you can get roach killer and it's basically borax. So it's kind of cool. All right, we want to dry our flux just a little bit, okay? So, yep, turn that on, ignite it. Don't point it right at your pieces when you ignite your torch, dingling. And we want to dry it just a little bit. That's plenty for there. And then we want to do it so that it's no longer bubbling. Okay, and that's good. Okay, so stop because you're going to start to oxidize these a bit. Okay, good. Now you need to be very careful because they're hot, right? But go ahead and get your pieces laid out onto your big piece.
I didn't know that I could do that.
And let's do, there we go. So this is going to be tricky. Why is this so tricky?
There's a little ball of...
Okay, so not only that, here, what you can, wait, don't do that, because now you're going to start moving things. You can just take a wet, I can't see what I'm doing. There we go. Just a wet paintbrush with water, and you can kind of get rid of some of those. But you want to be very careful that we don't mess up this joint here, right? The other thing, the reason that I was saying, why is this going to be tricky? And that's because, if you remember, when we measured our, Tom, the 20 mule team borax is actually, okay, so that's borax. Well,
wait, I put them in the wrong spot.
So borax and boric acid are different. And I guess, you know, and I think I misspoke now because I was not thinking, but I use boric acid and denatured alcohol to create my borax wash. And this is what I use as the flow flux, the barrier flux. I can't even talk anymore. You're doing all right.
They keep moving though.
I keep moving?
They keep moving.
Oh, well, we can kind of move them a little bit.
That must be the right one.
So borax is good for, I will use borax when I'm doing casting or if I'm melting things because it acts almost as a lubricant. But I don't think that you can just use it as plain. I mean, yeah, if you mix it with water, then you can use that and have it be part of a flux. Okay, that's looking really good, Kate. All right, tell me about your solder positioning. How are you going to do this? Where are you going to place your solder?
How are we going to?
Oh, I know exactly how I would do it. How are you going to do it? All right, let's take a look at this. Here, swap me places. Thank goodness we have rolly stools, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so for this one, we want to just verify that we're in the correct position with our two pieces butting up against each other. And I think we are. I think that guy needs to come over just a smidge. Yeah, that's better. So let's zoom in on this just a little bit, just because it's still a little bit difficult to see this.
You zoomed in on us too.
I know. It zooms in. Let's see if we can zoom that, just that one out. There we go. Okay, so what we want to do here is...
It's helpful that it's one remote, but it's also annoying.
I agree. Okay, did you see how I just placed a piece of solder right here and I stood it right up against the
side?
Yep, the two sides.
Now I can see it.
Can ya? Good, because I zoomed in. Do you need magnifiers too?
No, because I was working on the screen because I didn't get to see it.
Okay, so the other thing that I do is I take one piece of solder and I just drop it onto the inside of my little pieces. Now here's where our trick is going to be, especially with the 6mm setting. Our frame is only like 4 some odd millimeters, right? Like I think we said it was like 4.5 millimeters. But this, no, don't, oh, I was gonna say don't you dare, because we don't wanna move this. But yeah, we have another one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place a piece of solder on each side.
3.77.
Okay, so it's only 3.5 millimeters. A little more than 3.5. Oh, I moved him, dang it.
Technically 3.68.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so what I did, because we have an overhang on here, so I just placed a piece of solder inside on each side of that setting so that then it will flow through that, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, when you bring in your torch on this, you have to do it very, very carefully so you don't blow any of that solder out of place. How are you going to do this?
We kind of move around it.
Yep, so here, let me get your torch going. Okay, and again, wait, where's your, whoa, girlfriend. What hand is your torch in? And where's your pick? There you go. Torch goes in the non-dominant hand. Go ahead and work your way around this piece very, very gently, and while that flux warms up. And wait for that flux to warm up before you start to move into our pieces, right?
Oh no.
Oh no, what?
I accidentally moved my hand a little closer.
Okay, so yeah, so
Hot.
it's too hot?
Too hot for me.
Okay, so here we go.
Can't really hold it properly.
Okay, well then here, let me hold this for you. Okay, you get in here with your pick in case we need it. So what I'm gonna do, now that we've got our flux starting to flow, because we've been heating up just the board around the pieces, right? So now I'm going to circle this. Oh, it's okay, it's just flux. So now I'm gonna circle into, yeah, that's just flux. So now we circle in, and I wanna be very careful not to get these tube settings heated up too much. Now I can see that some of my solder has flowed out of, or kind of worked its way out of place. Okay, I think we're good now. So now I'm gonna come in and see how we're starting to oxidize on our copper. Let's get this neck done. So we're gonna do right here at the neck. All right, there goes one side, there you go. See that?
Yeah, that one flowed before the other one.
Yes, it did, perfect. So now we're gonna come in here and we're just gonna watch. Ooh, we gotta be very careful on these because, okay, so some of these, all right, there goes 1, there goes 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so all 5 of them. It is a black snowman. But yeah, so do you understand why we wanted to work our way around the way we did? Mm-hmm. Okay, and you just allow your flux to dry and kind of warm that piece up. Go ahead and get that quenched. Here comes the best sound in the studio. Oh, best sound ever. Okay, so now let's look at our piece. That's our little snowman here. Let's see, get him in here. There we go.
We're gonna name it Black Snowman now.
Black snowman?
Black Snowman.
Yeah, well, he's about to become copper again. All right, so all of our settings are now in place.
Snowman.
Black copper snowman. There you go.
Copper Snowman.
Okay, so go take this over and put that into the pickle.
And now we're gonna sit and wait.
And now we sit and wait because we forgot to turn on the pickle soon enough.
We didn't forget to turn it on.
Well, just not soon enough. So
It's still on high. You want me to change that?
nope, just leave it right there where it is. Okay, so at this point, we are now done soldering. We can put away the solder setup, kind of move things around since it's so hot still. Any questions on what we did or how we did that, Kate?
9.
9?
9.
She answers me in German, 9. And sometimes I want to say 7, 6. Because you're a dingling.
I'm sorry that it's normal for me to speak German.
All
I
right.
don't speak a ton, but the few things I know I say frequently.
Now, here's another thing too about flowing solder. Okay. When I learned, and I've since kind of changed my method a little bit, but when I learned, you kind of heat the whole piece up, get the entire thing to temperature, and then expect all of your solder to flow all at once, just like that. And very rarely does that happen, especially if you're working with larger pieces. So one of the things that I like to do is I'll get my whole piece warmed up like you just saw. And then I concentrate my heat in an area where I want the torch to flow. And then I follow it, like I start to move it around and the solder will follow that torch and that heat. So as we move around with our torch, you're gonna have solder flow here, 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 and here. So in this case, we had the neck joint and then we started to flow the different settings. And you saw I kind of went from one to the next, to the next, to the next, right?
I feel like there's a bubble in my ear.
I'll bet. There probably is a bubble in your ear.
So I'm like,
so anyway, that's kind of my methodology now, and it works really, 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 really well with great big bezels. And you've seen that because that's how we talked about it last year, right? When we were working with those larger bezels, you start to flow one area and then you just walk it around and that solder just flows and follows your torch and your heat. Okay, it's a little bit more efficient and you have less likelihood of having holes in your solder, right?
We have 2 more people this time than last time.
Yay!
Yay!
Well, this time's much more exciting than on Tuesday. Tuesday was kind of boring even for me.
Tuesday was just design.
Design. All right, so what we have some pewter elements. Why don't you switch us down to this camera?
This one?
Yes, ma'am, I think so, yeah. Okay, so we have a couple of pewter elements here, and these are actually going to pose kind of some interesting things when it comes to soldering them into place. Now, Kate has actually chosen to set the one upside down.
What?
Yeah, did you not know that? It's
Why
actually,
am I setting that one upside down?
well, because, if I can zoom
Is it supposed
in.
to go like that?
It is supposed to be like this. It's actually a bead cap. Okay, so that's actually a bead cap, but because the design on the inside is not that much different than what's on top, it works, right? And so she's decided she's going to set it like this. Now, by setting it like this, we get a new problem. What is our new problem?
How do that into it?
Yeah, okay, so let's say we take our rivet and we put our rivet in here, and in this case, we're using like a little copper nail head. Okay, that works great, that's wonderful, but how do you hammer in here to get it?
Hammer.
No, here's our problem. No, wait. Look,
hammer.
no, it's not gonna work. Here's the problem. When I put this down, my rivet drops down, right? Like we no longer have a good connection.
That stuff, the gray stuff, you could put that underneath it.
Oh, okay, the thermal lock?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that gets in there and gets everything a mess, and then you have a ton of cleanup to do.
We could use like a putty of some sort.
Okay.
Putty.
Okay, you could use a putty, but we need something really hard. Putty, thermal lock might be okay. Putty, absolutely not. It's not stiff enough to do this.
Dry putty.
Okay, think about the shape of this. How did they get this shape in the first place?
Like the little bowl, you know what I'm talking about.
The dapping
Yeah.
set. Yes. So what you want to do is get a dapping set and put that in there. Why don't you go grab me the dapping set and bring that over, and I'll get the vise. So what we want to do is we want to match this up with a dapping punch, and then we can mount the punch, and then we place our piece on top of that, and then we can rivet it.
Where is it?
Over there somewhere. Is it not there? Oh, guess what? It's over here on the fireplace. You know, I like sending my kids all over the place. Would you go find this? And they're like, it's not there. And I say, yes, it is. And they're like, yeah, no, it's really not. Yeah, it's right here on the fireplace. So, Kate, why don't you grab the dapping set off the fireplace? Oh, I just got a stink eye. Yes. So anyway, you know, it's because I was doing a video the other day with it. And it's pretty heavy, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty heavy. Okay, so what we would want to do then is, now that we've got our dapping punches, what you do is you're just gonna find the one that works. Ooh, that was actually a pretty good guess right off the front bat.
Right off the front door.
Right off the front door? Oh, I said the front bat.
Oh, I heard the front door. No. Right off the front bat?
Yes, front bat. Tom, Tom, I got my Thermalock through Micro Tools, and that's at toolcandystore.com. So yeah, and then what I do is I'll just kind of heat it up and melt it with a heat gun. Well, first time I do it to get whatever shape I want. So like on this one, I wanted a little flange on the back that I could stick into my vise and have it hold.
You put it in the microwave as well.
You put it in the microwave. Yep, and then after that, then I just kind of have to heat up the surface, usually with a heat gun.
I made a mouse with Thermalock. Where'd that go?
You did make a mouse. I have no idea. He might have gotten melted into this.
If you melted my mouse, I'll be very sad because that took me hours.
It did not. Nice try. So yes. If that took you hours, that would be quite sad. Did not take her hours. Like a couple minutes.
No,
it took you a couple minutes. No, it didn't, because if your Thermalock would be hard.
I know. I put it back in the microwave multiple times.
That's what you get for using my Thermalock to create mice.
Well,
anyway,
like a mouse, so I made a mouse.
So with the issues, okay, go check the pickle. She's as bad as Kiari. Go check your pickle.
Why, you're insulting me?
So anyway.
Why should I do what you want me to do?
Oh, teenage Kate comes out.
Why am I gonna do what you want me to do? You're insulting me. That's just sad.
Teenagers are so fun.
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Okay, how's that looking? Is it done yet? No, not yet. Okay, put it back in. All right, so anytime I have kind of these convex or even a concave shape, well, in this case, this one's a concave. Convex is if we were to set it like this, where the dome is on the top. Our concave is going to be where our dome is underneath. So when we have this type of shape, you want to find something that's going to fit into it and support it while you then flare that rivet on the other side. Now, the other part of the consideration on this is, do we need to flare the rivet on the inside of this? Because if so, then you have to determine how to hold it for that operation. In this case, I'm going to use these copperhead nails, basically. Like it's a rivet, it's not really a nail, but it has kind of that nail head on there, the flat one. And I believe I got these at Monster Slayer. And you get Monster Slayer? It's a place where I order my metals and stuff like that. Thank you, Judy. I'm glad that somebody likes my laughter. So, you know whose laughter gets me, kills me every time she does it? I love Kiari's laughter. Like, she's so funny with her little aha! You know what I'm talking about? I love her sometimes. Oh, she's a stinker. It's kind of nice to like have a little bit of a break today. Isn't that terrible? So she was like, can I go play with my friend? I'm all, why don't you do that today?
Oh, and then the other day they're like, she's so amazing. I'm like, can we just keep her? And like,
And Kate's like, yes, yes, you can keep her.
At least for 24 hours, I need my best friend.
Okay, so anyway, so like I was saying, I get these little flat-headed rivets already done, and I believe that these are about a 1/2 inch, it looks like. Yeah, these are 1/2 inch.
Yeah.
They already have a flat head, which is lovely. And you guys, if you want to learn some really fun things with that, I have a workshop coming up in September that I'm going to be doing with Metalworks. And I'm going to talk about how to alter these a little bit and do some decorative fun things. But anyway, in the case of these where we already have a flat head, I don't have to flare that rivet on both sides. So if we take our little bowl here, our little flower bowl, and we put it in, well, then it's already just going to hold into place, and I don't have to rivet that. So really, I'm only going to have to support from the underside and rivet from this top section, right? Okay, now, next thing is how are you going to drill your holes to get this rivet into place? Oh, I cleaned up my bench. It's not here.
The little thing.
She's going to use the little thing. Go get it.
Oh, it's gone.
It's over on the wall of hammers. They are called twist drills or punches. And so we have these little punches with like a little hex head, and you can just take it and twist it down, and it's perfect. 4-hole punch on this one. Bring them both over. Bring over one of each, the 4 and the 3. So there are 2 variations of this, and again, these are over at Micro Tools, so that's toolcandystore.com. And if you know, fair notice that if you use toolcandystore.com, it does give me a commission on that, and I thank you for your, and I appreciate your support. Okay, so we have a 3-hole. You brought over the one that didn't have the Allen wrench. Thank you. All right, we have a 3-hole and we have a 4-hole punch. The 3-hole punch has 1/16, 1/8, and 3/32 inch holes. These are great for doing any of like the scrapbooking elements. So if you ever have the eyelets, if you have like the little brads, I also use, so this 1/8 inch is also 3 millimeters. And so that's perfect for using with my 3 millimeter tubes that I'll use as a rivet to kind of line things when I do that. Now the 4-hole punch is done with the AWG scale. So that's going to be your gauges, the AWG, which is that American gauge, which is not at all to be confused with the SWG, that other measurement unit. And this is why going by gauges is terrible, because a gauge means nothing, it's just a name. But this has 18, 16, 14, and 12 gauge, okay, AWG. And so this is great because I can take and punch a hole, and I know that it's going to match up with whatever size of wire I have that I pick from that. And that's why you have the 2. I am not aware of any of these punches, although they might exist, that have like a millimeter measurement, like 0.8 millimeter. What gauge is 0.8 millimeter? Do you remember?
I can't see.
What, you can't see? What?
Yeah, you can't.
Oh, because it's all the way over there? Yeah, without cheating. Okay, here's my thing. I know what 1 millimeter is. Do you remember what gauge 1 millimeter is?
No.
18. Okay, and so if I know that 18 is 1 millimeter, then I can work my way around from that. 0.8 is 20 gauge. So what is 1.3 millimeter?
16. 15.
It's 16. Okay, and 1.6 millimeter?
One day I just answered 1.8.
What? So 1.6 millimeter would be what? That's your 14 gauge. Okay, so those are kind of the 4 that we use the most often. 18, well, 20, 18, 16, 14, and then maybe 12, right? Which would be approximately 1.8, 1.9 millimeters.
But you don't use like 1 on a daily basis?
Nope, I don't. So those are some things that you want to kind of keep in mind, because you need to learn the millimeters that go along with the gauges, because in the rest of the world, everybody uses millimeters. Like I remember when I was doing some stuff and I was talking with my friend Andrew Barry. He's the one that is in the UK. And he would bring stuff over to me. We ended up doing a show together. He was in another booth that was like right down from where my booth was. And he would bring something over and he says, I need 0.3 millimeter sheet. And I'm like, what is 0.3 millimeters? I don't know what that is. And he's like, how do you not know what 0.3 millimeters is? I'm like, because I don't know what 0.3 millimeters. What gauge is that? And he goes, well, I don't know what gauges are. He goes, I don't go by gauge. That doesn't mean anything. You know, and so, and it wasn't until, like I said before, you know, I started working with Alan Revere and he was like, nope, you've got to know your millimeters. So in his book, Professional Jewelry Making, everything is in millimeters. And that was kind of where, when I started doing the videos with Alan, that's when I kind of was like, oh, I guess maybe I actually had better learn all the millimeters. And they make more sense because millimeters aren't a name. It's an actual measurement. You can add them. You can figure out, you know, different things by doing that.
6 gauge, 14 gauge.
No, because if you add 6 gauge and 14 gauge, what do you end up with?
614 gauge.
614. There you go. 614 gauge. Okay, so, all right, go check your pickle. See, just take a toothbrush. Yes, go check it.
Woohoo!
Yes.
Got my very own pickle.
Yes, you do. All right, so, and that brings me to another thing, like even when we start, and here's the thing too, is that when you start working in other things, you run into problems if you get tools from Europe versus tools from the US, because you then have millimeter measurements versus the imperial unit measurements. And I hate imperial. I still never, we just won't even go there. But like, so for instance, this dapping set that I have.
It doesn't work.
What?
Your soap thing doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. I think it's clogged. Anyway.
Soap.
Oh, just pretend.
They're empty.
You'll figure it out, I'm sure. Anyway, so this dapping set is from Durston, which is also in the UK. And when I look at this, it has a number on this. Well, luckily for me, I happen to know that number is millimeters. So this is a 28 millimeter punch. And then it also has that on the base itself so that I know exactly where to put things. Although knowing where to put things is only slightly an issue because sometimes the shanks on these are about the same size. All right. What?
Water was running.
That's okay. How's that? Is that cleaned up pretty well?
I don't think it's done yet.
No? Bring it over. Let's see. Now, another thing that's going to have to happen is because the design that Kate has, this is okay. Yeah, this is okay. Yeah, go ahead and turn off the pickle. Let me switch our camera here. All right, so let's take a look at this. So it doesn't have a fabulous polish to that, and this will be easier to polish because we had it pre-polished. So really we just need to take kind of a bristle brush and clean this up. So that'll be kind of easy. We'll do that after we set the stones, but before we do our rivets. Now, one of the things I want to point out is look at how good that join is right there at that neck. See how wide it is? So it went from side to side. If we had only had just where the two circles met each other, it wouldn't have been as good of a join. Does that make sense? So that was the purpose of creating that little file mark there. Now, what we're going to have to do is we need to drill our holes because we need to get those in before we can put these in here. So Kate, show them where you're thinking of putting these elements onto your piece. Let me zoom out just a smidge. Okay. All right. So then what you need to do, you need to mark where your holes are going to be.
That work right there?
I think that works fine. And by doing this and the way that you've laid out your tube settings, you actually no longer have the issue that we were thinking we would run into. If this piece were over like that, then you couldn't get in there to set that up. But if you put this here like you just did, then you actually have the clearance you need to set that stone, right? So that's kind of a good thing. No, it's okay, as long as you've got your main mark in the right place. Okay.
It moved.
Yeah, but not much.
Do you use regularly silver, solder, or copper?
So I never use solder for copper. So I just use regular silver solder. Yep, and then that one you're just gonna have to move into position. Yeah. Okay, and then this one too. So, cause this one, and these we're gonna have to be pretty careful, right? Because we don't have a lot of room for error. So it is gonna be a little bit trickier. So I do use silver solder on my copper, especially, you know, even when I'm putting copper to copper. Yeah, we wanted to use the smallest one. Oh yeah, that's the biggest one. That's definitely not that big. Okay, so take your calipers and measure it. Yep, and do it here on the screen so people can see you. Okay, so she's gonna measure the rivet. I still can't see you. 1.2 millimeters. Okay, so 1.2 millimeters. We know that 18 gauge was 1 millimeter, right?
1.2 would be 17?
Kind of. It's going to be in that 16 range, right? So because we have 18, 16, 14, and 12 gauge. So if my rivet wire is 1.2 millimeters, then we need to just go up one size larger than that 1 millimeter. And in this case, 16 gauge will work just fine with that. Okay, because 16 gauge technically is 1.3 millimeters, I believe. Okay. And so 1.3 is going to give us a little bit of wiggle room, but not too much.
You have to be up so I can put it in.
Yeah. Okay, but you're like totally off the screen. They cannot see anything you're doing. Move over.
I have to pull that one out.
Move over. Move over.
Maybe not. Maybe. Oh my gosh, I had it.
And you'll get it again because you're so good. Okay, yeah, so this one's gonna take a little bit of finesse, right? And then just get it down to where it holds into place and double check it. Make sure you're good. Yeah, that looks pretty good, sweetie. All right, and now you can take that hex wrench, screw that all the way down, and it'll poke the hole in for us. Yeah, don't go the wrong way.
Okay, it's going the right way.
Yeah, you wanna pull it towards me. There you go. Yep. Okay. Now, the other thing too, if I have an all copper piece, one of the things that I can do is I can copper plate my solder. Now, when you get good enough, you can use silver solder and not have to copper plate because you won't really see that solder seam, depending on what you're doing, really. But if you can get your seam thin enough, then you can just kind of buff it out and you won't really see it very much. Now you might start to see it when things start to oxidize. But like I said, in that case, then what I can do is I can copper plate. Do you remember doing any copper plating, Kate? Do you remember when we did some of that? Do you remember how we did it?
On which piece did we do it?
I don't remember, but I know we did it. So to copper plate something, remember how I said that you should never put steel tools in the pickle? Yes, no? Do you remember? That's good.
Yeah. Steel tools.
Why do we not want steel tools in the copper?
Because it makes them copper plates.
Yeah, copper plates. Exactly. So while a lot of times that's kind of an undesirable thing, you can do it intentionally to create a copper plating. You're done. Good. So what I do, is I'll get a small glass bowl and I'll dip my bowl into my pickle, especially when that pickle is really blue. Because if my pickle is really blue, it tells me that it has a very high copper content. Okay, so I dip my bowl in there, pull some of it out. I like it nice and warm. And then I'll put my piece into the pickle. There's your piece, it came along with me. I'll put my piece into the pickle with some steel wool and my tweezers, and I'll put it right up against my piece and I'll let it sit for a bit. And then it puts a layer of copper on there. Now what I like to do is I like to build up that layer, so then I would take it out, brass brush it, burnish it all down, and then do it again. And then I would do that whole thing again, burnish it with a brass brush and soap, and do it some more. And by building those layers, you make them a little bit stronger, because if I just set this in here and I just put it in with whatever I'm going to use, like my steel wool or whatever, and I just left it, it'll continue to build a layer, but if it's one thick layer, it can flake off. Okay? Okay, what is our next step? No.
Set stone.
Okay,
Polish.
well, yes, polish.
Something.
So we can either set our stones and then polish, which I think I would do, because that way then you can polish up all of your settings at the same time. Okay?
That.
Okay, so I think what we'll have enough time for, because we've got 10 minutes left, so I think what we ought to do is set the stones, which, by the way, you have not picked your stones. So,
Have to stop exactly at 3.
kind of, because I've got to get some other videos recorded today. I've got a few things that need to be done.
They're not going to be finished this week.
No. Okay. So right here you see 6, 6, 4, 4. In the 3 millimeters, you only have clear. That's all you get for 3 millimeters.
This is what the big one is?
Yeah, so 6 and 4.
I think we'll do blue and purple then.
Blue and purple?
Don't you think that's pretty?
Sure, that works. Hey, it's Riley's wedding colors.
Except that Riley's wedding.
Oh, there you go. There you go. You can totally wear it to Riley's wedding. Okay, so what do we need?
Polish? Wait, what?
What do we need? If you're going to set your stones, what do you need?
We're going to polish it first.
No, I would do it after you set your stones. Why?
Do it first.
No, 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 no. No, I would do it after you set your stones.
Oh, wait, good job.
Aw, Glenda, thank you. We appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Okay, so what else do we need? We've got our setting punches. Okay, you need your hammer. What kind of hammer do you need? Yes. So go get one of the nylon hammers.
Wait, no, we'll get Alan's favorite, the leather one.
Yes, I do have quite the assortment of CZs in here.
We were actually
But yeah, it makes it easy to like kind of get my choices, I guess.
We were talking about how my aunt and uncle's puppy needed to do a chew toy because she's getting her teeth and stuff. And we're like, we could just go downstairs and grab one of the leather hammers.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. So, well, thank you, Glenda. I'm glad that you are enjoying it. So we appreciate your support. Thank you. Okay, so you need, I've got different size setting punches.
All colors except in 3 millimeters where you only have clear.
I know.
Can you not find them in any other color?
Well, they're just not as easy to find because like these are just CZs and so they're very, very inexpensive. Like I can get CZs for, you know, basically pennies on the dollar compared to some others. And then as, you know, and 4 millimeters and 6 millimeters are kind of standard sizes. And so that's why you can find so many more in the colors. I guess, I don't know, because even in my 2 millimeters, I would love to have colored stones in my 2 millimeters.
Well,
now here's the other thing, here's a caveat on that too. So she's saying, you know, can't we get those stones in other sizes? Yes, you can, but as you get smaller, they're harder to facet and everything, and these are all calibrated. Okay, that's the nice thing about these is that they're calibrated. So I can put in a 6 millimeter tube setting and pick up my 6 millimeter stone and I know it's going to fit.
It's calibrated, like it's just the right size?
Yeah, and it means it's going to be the same size. So if I pick out 2 of these that are 6 millimeter, they're going to have the exact same measurements. And I know that they're going to fit into my 6 millimeter setting. That's calibrated. Mm-hmm. Okay, whereas like when I buy a ruby or an emerald or a sapphire, a lot of times they want to sell those on weight. Okay, and then also how thick that stone is. Like they create these great big bellies. So on the top, they look like this. Yes, you remember on your ruby that I got you? it looks like
my special shelf.
Yes, it's got that beautiful faceted top that looks like you would find, right, on faceted stones. But then you look at the underside and it looks like it's got this big pregnant belly. Okay, so that big pregnant belly does a couple of things, and a lot of times they're really wonky. Like sometimes it'll be off to the side. You know, it's not always just plain centered underneath. But that belly does a number of things. One, it creates a lot of weight. Well, our battery's about to die. Let me grab some more batteries. But it creates weight, and stones like that are sold by their weight. So they like to sell those by the weight. But then the other thing too, especially in the case of rubies and emeralds and sapphires, is that that thickness will give a richer color, you know, for the stone. So it has a couple of purposes, but it makes it awkward to set because they're not calibrated. And so then you have to sometimes kind of dig out your bezel. So you guys, we're gonna go silent here for just a moment. Sorry. Okay, and we should be back.
Hi, Glenda.
Okay, so anyway, does that help explain calibrated and why we say that? Okay, so the next thing we need is a bench block.
Just currently with the iPad sitting on?
Yes, it was currently sitting on it. There we go. Okay, now I have another really cool tool, and I will share a link to you guys for this. And I got them, I used to get them through Beadsmith, but they no longer carry them, so I don't know.
Well, I found them at Michael's.
I don't know that I found these at Michael's.
Oh no, I found them at Michael's.
Did you find them at Michael's?
I found them at Michael's before.
Well,
we were in the jewelry aisle and they had them there.
How long ago?
Not that long ago, actually. Like maybe
anyway,
most a year ago.
People see, well, okay. Even a year ago I could get these. I can't get them now, but a year ago I still could. But people see me use this all the time when I'm doing my videos, and they're like, what are you using? It's a little sticky end. Switch our camera, please.
Do you use this one?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so it's a little sticky end, and this one happens to be double-sided. So there's a small end and a little larger end. Okay.
Yeah,
You're such a ding-dong. You are as bad as Kiara today.
look up and that's I see.
So what that allows me to do, just to show you guys, like say here's my stone. Bring over our block and our stone here.
Can I do it?
Thank you, Judy. I sometimes feel like I'm a total dork. Yes, I'm gonna let you do this. But see how you can just pick it up? I love that. And the thing I like about this over sticky wax is that it doesn't leave the marks. It doesn't leave the residue, you know, and sometimes it's good and then sometimes it's not, because it's not as strong as sticky wax. Okay, so there is the downside to it that is not as strong as sticky wax. But most of the time I don't need it. And then I like that I have the little tiny end, so then I can move the little stones in. All right. Okay, wait, before you do this, we have some punches here. How do you know which punch to use? Any idea?
Do you line it up?
Okay, you can line it up. Well, are you sure? And here's what you do. You can check on here to see what size it is. This one says 4. So that was the right one. You just didn't have it centered right. But that was the correct stone, or the correct setting. So we know we need a 4 millimeter.
5 or 6. We did 6.
Okay, so this is called a jewel picker, and like I said, I found it where it's got a 2-pack, and I would highly suggest you buy the 2-pack. I will put the link up in the comments on the video once we're done recording, and it's uploaded this to YouTube. I'll put the link in there for you guys.
I think it's 9.
That is an 8. I know, it looks funky, but no, that's an 8. You just need your glasses adjusted.
Where's this one? Where's this one?
I don't know. All right, well here is the 6. 6? I don't know, is that the 6 or is that the 5? This one's a 6.
This one doesn't have one.
Okay, well then here's the thing that you can do. You can line these up and you can see one is bigger than the other, right? So this one is definitely our 6. So we got the 4, the 6, and now you need the 3.
That one.
Yeah, and then you've got the 3. Glenda, I have the link right to it, so you don't even have to search. I will get you the link and it'll take you right to it, and then you don't have to look for it, because sometimes when you put in that term, it pulls up some weird things. Anyway, so we need the 3mm. Okay, so we've got the 6, the 4, and the 3mm. We can put these others away. All right, you remember how to do your tube settings. So Judy says, I use blue tack on the end of a skewer. Judy, is blue tack like the poster tack, like the poster putty? Is that what blue tack is?
That's what I...
But yeah, you can use a number of things as long as it's kind of that little sticky stuff. Oh, the cheese wax from my Baby Bell. Yes, that is another thing that you can use. That's one of the things I love about those Baby Bell cheeses, is you can use that wax and use that in there.
It doesn't taste good.
What? Gouda cheese.
Get them and
I know. Okay, that looks like it's good.
I think the wax made it taste weird for me.
Well, you're not supposed to eat the wax.
I never eat the wax.
The wax doesn't have anything to do with the flavor. It's Gouda cheese. That's good. That's good. I wouldn't mess with that. So what we're doing is we're looking for it to be flat. Now, here's the other thing that can be kind of interesting. I cannot talk. Interesting. Or the interesting is that when we go to do this, we've got 2 pieces hanging over the edge here. Now, in this case, I don't think that it's actually going to be an issue because so much of it is actually supported.
Not true.
Okay. Yeah, Judy, I'll bet it is the poster tack type of stuff, because that stuff is really good for this as well. So you have a number of options. But see how pretty this is?
It's sparkly.
Okay, so Glenda, as far as it not being available, it is, yeah, it's definitely not available on my site, but I can give you my Amazon link to that. So like I said, because I have this one place that I do buy them through, but yeah, I can no longer purchase these, like my supplier no longer carries them, sadly. It's such a bummer.
I'll check and see if they're at Michael's anymore.
Okay, all right, so Kate, go ahead and set this. So
Joanne's or somewhere. I don't remember, we were somewhere.
Okay. Blue tack is used to attach things on the walls. Yeah, so it is, it's the poster tack is what that is. And it's just like a little putty that you just use to stick up your posters or whatever else.
You do this, you hammer it, and then you go around a circle.
Yes, okay, and you want to just do it kind of gently, right? So go ahead. Just very, very gently, but not too gentle, right? Because you need to have enough force that you actually lay it down. Okay, let's see. So then we want to stop and look. All right, that's good. It's coming along. However, it's not enough. Yeah.
Is my stone uneven?
No, your stone is good.
So we'll hit it a little bit harder?
Yes. Okay, and notice that she's also kind of rocking this around. You don't want to rock it too steeply, but you do a little bit. There you go. See how that's much better. We're not there yet, but go ahead and keep going. That looks really good, Kate.
You don't want to be like down here.
No,
rock it.
Why not?
Because then look, you're off the stone.
Not only are you off the stone, but then you start to put ridges into your setting. Okay, so you're still going pretty light.
Well, because it was knuckle position.
Okay. If you want to, stand up. It might give you a better, might put you in a better position for this. There you go. There you go. Okay, give it a little bit more hit. There you go, dude. Okay, let's check. All right, that actually looks really good. Now, as a final step, what do I do? Do you remember? Yep, I put that back on and push hard. There you go. What does that do?
Just kind of finishes the edge a little bit.
So not only does it finish the edge, it burnishes it. So what happens is it makes it shiny, but it also ensures that it is actually set down nice and smooth around our stone. That looks really, really good, Kate. Nicely done. Okay, so next, then you're going to do your 4mm stones.
Do I use big ones or tiny?
I still use the tiny. We don't need that many.
What do you mean we need all of them?
Right?
Every single one, let's do it.
I got a little excited. Where's the cap? There we go. Okay, go ahead. So get your stone into place.
You didn't realize we were going to use every single one of them today?
No.
You're going to use all your favorite purple.
Maybe. I like the purple. I love these purple crystals. They're like so deep and sparkly. They're really pretty. Good. Yep, so see how it's kind of crooked in there? All right. Now sometimes when it's like this, because she's having a hard time getting it back out now. There you go. Oh, you got it. Well done. Yes, that looks good. But this one, this guy's, maybe he goes in.
Here we go.
Let's see. Yeah, I think you're good. Okay, you're good on both of them. Now, when you go to do one though, it might knock the other one loose a little bit. So just be aware of that.
Go at the same time.
I usually only do one at a time.
But I did two at a time.
Apparently you do two at a time.
Clearly.
All right. Yeah, go ahead and stand up. That gives you a little better angle on it. Well, those are good hits. Nice. See how it knocks one out?
Sad pandas.
Sad pandas. Okay, so that's good enough for now. Like, we still could probably bring it down just a little bit more, but then go ahead and do that in there. So, Fat Kid says, Glenda, I use it to set everything from CZ to moissanite. Yes, that's nice. And the residue wipes away with the microcloth. That's great. I have used the Baby Bell wax before, and then I just totally forgot about it. Because I quit buying Baby Bell stuff because my girls don't eat it. And heaven knows I don't need to eat a whole thing of Baby Bell cheeses. Okay, that looks really good. So yeah, so go ahead and do the next.
My bouncy one.
Uh-huh.
Come on.
There you go. Yeah, it's a little easier when you tip them right side up, huh?
Yep.
Good. Nice steady hand, Kate.
That's what happens when you're an artist.
You definitely, sometimes you get to be that way, huh? All right, yep, you're good. I wouldn't mess with it.
It wasn't straight.
Wasn't it?
No, that was not straight.
Okay. Sorry, my eyes are going bad.
Well, it was also on the side.
I need new eyeballs.
Can't have mine.
Your eyeballs are bad too. That's the wrong punch.
Go.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. All right, so thinking ahead, you know, another thing, you actually need maybe one more hole in your pieces. All right, in your piece at the very top. Why would we need another hole? You might not need to, but you might.
So that we can attach it to our pendant or necklace or whatever.
Yes, if we wanted to use a jump ring for that. But we might not have to use a jump ring for that, right? It just kind of depends. That looks really good, Kate, so burnish that down. Good. Okay, now what I would like to see is to have you actually push a little harder. Okay, it kind of hurts is that punch. So maybe what we ought to do is like,
so weird.
What feels weird? Oh, all the crystals in your hand? Yeah. But yeah, don't be afraid to like push really hard when you are doing your burnishing.
I have your two.
You have your two?
Yeah, there's two outside.
Oh, okay, here. I can't get to the other one. You're such a weirdo. Oh my goodness, dude. Okay, there's your two.
That's the best way to grab them.
You're a dingbat.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well they couldn't even see what you're doing. They just know you're being a dingbat.
No.
Uh-huh. All right, so get your baby ones in there and then we'll call it good on this.
Right, it's the giant one, right?
So when we start again, now remember guys, we will not be here next week. I will be in Kansas doing a class with Blaine Lewis.
It worked.
Well, it got it in there, but not straight.
It had it straight for a second, then I bumped it.
Oh, did it? Well, I mean, yeah, you can use the big one. I just like the little one. All right, and now use your little punch. So we won't be here. I'm in a class with Blaine Lewis next week doing advanced stone setting, which I'm really excited about because then maybe I will become more proficient in setting fancy shapes. Do you know what fancy shape stone is?
Flowers.
Well, there aren't too many faceted flowers, but that would be considered a fancy shape. What else would be, do you know?
Anything different than like a circle or square?
Yeah. Well, even squares are kind of considered a fancy shape. That looks really good.
Burnish?
Yep, burnish. Nice and hard. Push it, push it, push it.
I'm doing it hard.
Good. All right. Last stone.
Alright, I should probably use that thing.
Well, you could do it another way too. Flip it off. That's the one bad thing about some of these is that you have to put a little bit of pressure on it, but you don't have to put too much pressure. You're having difficulties.
Hi.
Yes.
I give up. I'm doing it this way.
All right, do it that way. There you go. There you go. Okay.
Fix it up, and then I can fix it with the little one.
All right.
Or maybe not.
Yeah, it totally needs to be fixed.
Where?
It's totally sitting up. Anyway, and then the girls are gonna go hang out with my brother and his wife and their brand new puppy.
We're gonna go thrifting.
And you're gonna go thrifting?
We're gonna go thrifting.
Oh my gosh, yay, more junk in the house. Woohoo! Oh, by the way, we're having a garage sale on the 31st of July.
Why are we doing that?
To get rid of the junk that everybody's brought into the house. If you're gonna bring more junk, some junk has to leave. That's how it works.
I have all that stuff that I
Keep
need
going.
to-
Good. Then you put it out in the garage sale.
Why? Who'd you tell that we were doing a garage sale?
I don't know. Manga's family's doing it, so we're gonna do it too. Okay, not too hard, because you can actually go too hard and break your stones. And you did. No, I'm joking, you didn't. Look how cool this is though. Look at that. Look how fun your piece is. That looks really good, Kate. So yeah, so burnish that piece in now. Good. All right. So you kind of went like wibbly wobbly everywhere. So it works a little bit better if you're kind of methodical about it and just go around in a circle.
Now I need to go.
All right. So what would your next step be?
That thing.
Glenda says she likes your piece.
Oh,
So you're saying that you would take this and put this in.
yes. Well, after you polish it.
There you go, after you polish it. But yeah, that's what that will start to look like once we get this going.
Wait, we'll show them what it'll look like after polishing and stuff.
Okay, and now before we start to rivet these into place, you need to determine, that's gonna be fun, Kate. You need to determine how you want to hang your piece. If you wanna use a jump ring and then run a chain through it, or do you actually wanna run your chain through this? You know, or you could even run a jump ring, a big jump ring through the big hole up here.
Chain through this and it always turns.
Yes, it depends on how you do it. But yeah. Aw, Janet joined us today too.
Hey!
We have all of our friends here today.
Yay.
It's kind of fun. So, okay, so things that you need to consider is how you're gonna set this one right, and we talked a little bit about the dapping set. This one is a little different because not only is he domed the other way, but the hole is much bigger. So it wants to kind of move around.
We'll figure it out.
We will figure it out, but those are things that you need to be thinking about when we come back to our next
birthday?
piece. Is it on your birthday? Is that what we determined? We determined that it's on your birthday? Here, why don't you switch our camera? No, switch our camera. Goober. Okay, so yes,
See?
our next video will be on July 27th, which is Kate's birthday. So, all right. So what we're going to do then is Kate is going to ponder this, and I may have her polish this and I might not. I don't know. I haven't decided if I want to just do that on the video next time. Maybe we'll do it on the video next time, right? I'll have you polish something else to practice, and then you can show them how you polish it. Okay, that sounds good to me too. But I do think that we'll use bristle brushes so that you can get in between each of those settings and then polish up the settings and the whole piece. All right. So Glenda, lots of bling. I think your dolls need bling on their new dresses. Nice job on the dolls, by the way, she says. Yeah, Kate's learning a lot. She's starting to sew her dresses. She's been making her own patterns.
Yep, and I'm hoping like in fall I can sell some dresses I made.
Yep, you're getting there, huh?
Now my sewing machine just needs to stop being cranky.
Yeah, that too. Maybe we just need to get you a new sewing machine. I don't know.
It's being stupid.
We'll have to see. Grandma told me I needed to get you a new sewing machine.
I technically have a new sewing machine, but it's also used and it needs to be taken into a mechanic.
Where'd you get this?
School. They're like, it's a broken one. They think we know what's wrong with it. It probably needs to go into a mechanic, but then it'll work.
All right.
So I have that. It's at Grandma's house.
Well, I'm glad it's at her house and not ours. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully today was a little bit faster paced for you guys and a little more interesting, because I know Tuesday was a little rough. But you know what? Sometimes when you're teaching the design elements, that's how it goes, because you have a lot of design considerations. But based off of our conversation, this is what Kate came up with. I think it's turning out pretty cool, don't you think? Mm-hmm. All right. So we will see you guys not next week, but on the 27th, and we will sing happy birthday to Kate, right?
Sure.
Maybe that's where I'll have you open up your birthday presents.
Maybe we'll do that.
Probably not, because, you know, the family will want to see that.
I mean, they could. Just search it up on YouTube.
Well, thank you, Judy. I hope you enjoyed it. At least we're somewhat entertaining, if nothing else, right? All right, you guys, you have a wonderful week, and we will see you guys next time on the 27th. Bye.
Bye. Now let's see if I'll let us get off this time. Come on. Stop. Stop and sleep.